Hey, it's Ethan Clark here. Thank you so much for watching this video. And what I'm going to be sharing with you right now is the three-stage content awareness system that I'm using and I'm also using for my clients as well that helps you attract attention, nurture it, and convert it all in one go. So let's look at this first of all. So the reason why I've got it organized into these three areas is key because I find that your audience is often organized into one of these three areas. We have problem unaware, we have problem aware, and then we have solution aware. And I find that your audience will always be in multiple of these. They're never all in one place, they're in multiple of them. Which is why when we're creating content, we want to target all of them. And this is the thing which I find that most entrepreneurs are often missing out one or even two of these areas, or just simply aren't consistent enough in all of these areas, which means that they're really lacking and missing out on that opportunity to convert from their content. So let's go into all of these first. So if we're targeting problem unaware, first of all, these are the people that are unaware they even have a problem. And this is the thing, because chances are, right, these people obviously have goals, right? They obviously have goals. Excuse my handwriting, but they obviously have goals, but they just don't know what that problem is, right? And this is the thing, because if you try and sell these people, right, if you try and sell them a solution to their goal, the thing is that they're quite happy where they are, right? A lot of the time they don't really need a solution because they either don't really have a clear goal or maybe they're quite happy with the progress they're making. So they're probably not going to need this. But if you can make them problem aware over here, then all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier to do so because there's almost a demand and need on their end. But when they don't have a problem, there is no real there's no real demand or need, which means that it's going to be very difficult for you to then propose that solution. So what I find is better to do is a few things with your content. One thing you can do is address a misconception or a false belief or beliefs that your ideal clients have. And this is a really good way for creating this type of content. Now, problem aware content is pretty much top of funnel content, which really you're trying to make people aware that this problem even exists. And by doing this, addressing those misconceptions and false beliefs, right? So you want to think about, okay, well, what are what are the say the common or perhaps even uncommon misconceptions and beliefs that my ideal clients have, right? So for me, it could be the fact that entrepreneurs thinking that commenting is going to help them with lead gen, which I think is a big false belief because, yeah, sure, commenting can help maybe get you out there a little bit, but other than that, it's not really something you should be spending that much time on. Like, I know people that would spend hours every day or at least an hour every day commenting, and it was just silly. I mean, I did it myself. So it was just silly and it didn't get me anywhere. So, for example, I could address that and say, hey, if you're trying to get leads, that's not the way to do it, right? That's a big misconception. And so that's going to make a lot of people that say are doing that be like, okay, that's a problem, right? So that's the whole idea. And all we're trying to do here, pretty much, is take people from problem unaware to problem aware. And a lot of the times, if you are the person that has shown them the problem, they're going to be more likely to look at you for that same solution. So that's another thing. The next thing we can do is we can also share a personal transformation that say you had that actually creates the desire for basically the same result, right? And for that same transformation. And this could be for example, just like something that you achieved, or it doesn't even have to be a desire. What you could even have, you could even make it as the same mistake that you had. So, for example, for me, one of the big mistakes I made with LinkedIn was just simply posting consistently and thinking that would get me leads. And what ended up happening is that I was posting for about 9 months consistently, and I got zero leads, or at least zero inbound leads. And this was obviously a huge problem for me. And if I share that, then a lot of people that think that, oh, I need to post consistently and just comment and stuff might be like, oh, actually, that's a bit worrying, right? So it might strike a bit of fear and make them realize that this is a problem they need to solve. So now we actually get on to more of the parts where you want to really make a few bullet points on each of these areas. Now, what I've got for you as well is that beneath this video, there's going to be a resource that you can opt in for. And what this is going to do, this is going to guide you in terms of how you can fill out all of these to be able to improve your content strategy and be able to do content creation. Now, what I'll have after I've explained all of this is a video sharing how you can use Bright, which is a LinkedIn content studio, to strategize and create your content a lot more easily. It also includes templates and such when it comes to writing, so it's going to streamline your writing process a whole lot more. But I want to make sure that you opt in for that resource below this video so that you can follow along with this video as well, and you can make sure you are adding to it as we speak. So let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do is that when we're trying to create this content, we want to know the core ideal client desires, because this is the stuff that they're going to be able to, obviously, you can position that up the top. And then what you want to then do is identify the problem preventing them from getting there, because these two things are going to be really valuable for making them problem aware. Because especially, right, if they don't know they have a problem, at least the very least you want to do is make sure you have a core desire that they do want up in that content as well, preferably somewhere in that hook or the first few lines as a way of hooking them in and making sure they're reading that content. Then we also want to note down those misconceptions and false beliefs that are causing it, right? So so you know what is causing those problems, or at least what is causing them to not get that dream desire, right? Because really, whatever is preventing them from getting this is a problem, but they might not know what that is. So that's the whole idea of this. You're just trying to figure out the misconception, false beliefs, or even the personal transformations you had, whether they were good or bad, that allowed you to figure out that problem or solution. Which, as a result, is obviously going to help them learn that, and also the lesson it taught you, or maybe the lesson they can learn. Now, you're not going to need all of these in your content. However, when we're playing around with things, when we're trying to bring ideas together, having a note of all these is really useful. So make sure to pause this video and basically opt in for that resource if you haven't already, and make maybe 3 to 5 bullet points for each of these before we move on. So I think that'll be really valuable for you. So next, what we have is we then have problem aware. Now, with problem aware, these are obviously people that are aware that they have a problem to begin with. However, these are the people that also are unaware of the solution for this problem. Perhaps maybe they've tried a few things, but a lot of the time they just don't know what they can do about it. And this is often a really good place for us to then really draw out that emotion. So I find what we can do is we can either address a pain they have, address a fear they have, or even address a desire that they haven't achieved yet. Because what this is going to do is this is going to make them more eager and more interested for a solution. And what we can then do with this, right? So, for example, if we address a pain they have, bearing in mind, if we include these pains in the hook and even just throughout our content, it's really going to make them realize, yes, this person understands me. He understands the problem I'm dealing with. And then they're going to want to really read in on the content more. Now, this isn't where we're necessarily, I suppose, promoting our offer. Now, you can do, however, we want to leave that for the people that are solution aware. What we want to do instead is we want to then be able to give actionable solutions, right? Now, bearing in mind, if you're obviously following along as well, now what we want to do here is you want to then go to that worksheet that I've got for you, and you want to make a few bullet points on each of these and fill it out in terms of the pain or fear that they sort of have, or maybe why they haven't achieved it. You want to also do what they've tried before to solve it, and then also the actionable solution to those problems. And the reason why we're doing this is especially for the people that are problem aware, we want to give them some actionable advice they can take away and they can apply and get results from. And this is so important because a lot of the time, I find content has, well, most people's content simply have the why and the what in terms of the content, right? So, why something is important or why you should do something, what something is and what you should do about it. However, what they often neglect is how to, apply this thing or how to solve this problem, and the now in terms of what they can do now to solve this problem. And I find that people do pretty well with this, not so well on this, and terrible with this. So you want to make sure that when you are drawing in those emotions, when you are mentioning those problems and connecting with them on an emotional level, you do want to also include the actionable step they can take now. And this is funny because I thought about this a few days ago and I realized that what I see as, oh, this is pretty actionable, I understand this, is going to be completely different from what other people think. So, especially with this now part, when you're trying to give them actionable advice with your like through your content, you want to make it really, really straightforward and preferably incredibly small steps or small step when you can. Because if they can literally just take that piece of content and then apply those next three steps or whatever you've got there for them, and they can get results or they can at least go from a better place than where they were in now, that's going to be huge for you. And having done that, that's going to help them become solution aware because you've all of a sudden, right, you've given them that actionable advice for them to take. And now they are a step closer to getting that, ideal result, that sort of goal they're trying to hit. And because you've made them aware of that, they're also going to be more likely to look to you for being able to help them do that, right? And if they were in a state of confusion here, and you've helped them go from like basically problem aware to solution aware, then all they now need is to simply you know find the solution that's going to work. And yeah, they could do it themselves with your advice, but a lot of the times they want to get it quicker, they want to get it like easier, and that's going to be done through you 9 times out of 10. So that's obviously really going to help as well. And like all like, you can get leads from all these different types of content, right? It's not just hey solution aware people only get leads from, right? If you make a problem unaware person aware of their problem, they might just be like, yo, I want to talk to this guy because he simply knows what is going to help me to actually solve this problem. Same with problem aware, right? If you've made someone aware of say a solution and you really validated their problems, they might be like, yeah, sure, right? And then obviously the same with solution aware as well, which I'm going to go into. So solution aware, it's the people that are aware of the solution. However, they just haven't found one that's worked for them, or maybe they've say tried other people's solutions, whether it be recommended or maybe they work with other people and it just hasn't worked. So there's two things you can do here. One, you can take it the social proof route and basically make cut like a post which shows the proof that your solution works. For example, screenshots and testimonials. This stuff works really, really well, especially if you can share social proof of people that are just like your ideal clients and how you've helped them. And obviously, the second one as well is comparison to other solutions that didn't work for them. So you want to know, okay, well, what have they tried before to try and get this goal, and what didn't work, which you obviously would have probably talked about maybe up here further, and then you can obviously compare it to other solutions or maybe to your recommended solution, and that's obviously going to give them more maybe confidence in what's going on. And then finally, what you want to do is, go into that worksheet that you would have opted in for. You then want to make bullet points of the failed and unreliable solutions for their core desire. You also want to like make a note of maybe some comparisons to better solutions that you would recommend for those said unreliable solutions. And then you also want to include social proof and case studies as well that support either one of those. Because what all of this is going to do is that once you have then been able to bullet point the problem unaware area and the problem aware as well as the solution aware, that when you have all this stuff here and you've made it pretty clear in terms of all of those points, it means that when it comes to the writing process and creating the content, it's all going to be there for you. Make this easier, what I'm now going to show you in this next video is how you can use Bright to do all of this much more streamlined. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about Bright. Now, Bright is pretty much just a studio for LinkedIn content, and you can get a Chrome extension for it as well. And as I'm recording this, is currently free. Now, it'll probably be paid maybe in the future, but it's free for now, so it's really, really useful. So, what we've got here is a few things, right? We've got an editor for when we're creating content. We've also got a content bank where you can put ideas, drafts, and so on and so forth, and even put tags there. You've also got a calendar. But what I want to share for you that's most important here, or at least in my opinion, is just this editor here. Now, one of the things you can do with this is that when you are typing, you can also do a preview and you can see how it's formatted. You see how it's formatted on all these different types. So that's obviously really, really useful. However, what I want to bring your attention to is the notes here. So when you are writing that content, it's very difficult, and a lot of the time you can just be left with a bit of that blank slate feeling. So let's look firstly at what I've got with these notes. So you can add as many notes as you want, and you can have them as whatever you want. So what I've got here is I've got these organized into problem unaware, aware, and then solution aware as well. So what you'll find is, obviously I haven't filled these in yet, but what you'll find is that I've also got all these points that I labeled before. And what this is going to be, this is almost going to be your ammunition for when you're creating content. Because, for example, what I would then do for core ideal client desires in here, I'd probably put, getting leads from content, being able to say convert people in the DMs, and like so on and so forth. But I'd probably make sure I've got maybe 3 to 5, or as many as that seems relevant as possible in there as well. And I would do the same for all of these, because what it means is that when I'm going to create the top of the funnel content, I can open this up on the side while I'm actually creating that content. So it's all there, and I've got all the ideas in front of me because I've taken the time to research. And yes, research does take a bit of time. It is a bit sucky, but it helps you so much more, and it prevents you from having so much of a blank slate. And as you can see, I've done this the same for the problem aware. So I've also got these here as well, which obviously in these gaps, you'll want to make sure that you fill these in as well. When you do first basically get bright, you won't necessarily have this in here, which is why I recommend you opt in for the sheet below. And you can copy each of these areas and put them all in here. And obviously, the thing down below as well does share a bit more about how you can apply this all. So make sure you get that as well. I've obviously done this for solution aware as well, which you can see down here as well. So this is going to be really useful when creating content because it's all just going to be in one place. And as you can see, I've also included links as well to things I usually tend to link. So this will be stuff like some of my lead magnets and even working with me. But you can obviously make notes for whatever you want. But I would recommend that if you're struggling to make content that's working for you and you want to spend less time with content, this is quite a good way to do it. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. Another thing which is really useful as well is it has templates. Now, with these templates, there are things such as hooks, structures, endings, and even call to actions. And the best thing about this is you can also organize it as well. So if you're someone that is really struggling with, to even just start content, right? You can take inspiration from some of these, like basically templates that you got here, right? So obviously you can see here, there's a good few of these, and like I'm probably going to start using these as well. One thing I would note is do not rely on the templates, because simply relying on templates, templates as they are templates, if you use them like them enough times, they're probably not going to be as authentic and human as they should be. So I would argue that if you're struggling to make content and maybe you're trying to get a few ideas, I mean, even with say hooks and stuff, then you can obviously pull these in there. So go into misconceptions, like we talked about with the tofu, so the top of the funnel. You've obviously got a lot of misconceptions, and you can literally just add to post, and then obviously maybe play around with things. Obviously, I would really recommend that you just take the time to basically do this yourself and try not to rely too much on the templates. But really, the idea is that it's more of a plug and play feel, because what you can have is that, assuming you've taken the time to really put in those notes, it's very easy for you to then put this all together. Now, obviously, you have the content bank here as well, which you can then organize this. And I've actually, for myself, made different tags for top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. So if you find that you're trying to also bring up content ideas, maybe you have content ideas like from up in the week, you can obviously put these in here and include stuff as well. You can also use the calendar as well, but that's obviously entirely up to you. And then from here, once you've actually typed out your whole post, you can obviously then schedule it, and that will then take you to LinkedIn, where that can all happen as well. So this is a really, really useful thing for you to do when it comes to content creation. So this is something I'd really consider to do. And when it even comes to content creation, you can do it in one of two ways, right? You can either just like create content every single day, which a lot of people do and they're okay with it. For me, I quite like being able to batch create content. I do that every single week. Usually it's every Saturday. And I simply just basically sit down and I make sure to get into my deep work zone. So this will simply be trying to make sure the only tab that I've got open is simply just the one I'm working on. And maybe I might have some music that I'm playing as well in the background. And I also usually have a timer, because a second thing that's really good when you're trying to just get a lot of, say, content done, especially with batch creating content, is setting timers for each piece of content. So for me, I might set like a 15-20 minute timer per post. Depends how much content you're making as well. Because what that's going to do, that's going to put that good pressure on me when it comes to creating that content. And then lastly, as well, I would usually try and make sure you've removed all distractions from your room environment. Usually for me, this means taking my phone out of the room and anything else that might divert my attention away. Because if you can get those three things nailed, then when it comes to making content like this, it's going to be very straightforward to do. Now, when we are making content, a few things I do like to do is I do like to also be aware of, okay, well, what type of content am I going to be making? I usually like to title the different types of content that's going out. So this might be like here, right? It might be top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, right? Now, for me, I post 7 days a week, and this is usually two top of funnel, three middle of funnel, and two bottom of funnel. Consistency is what matters the most. I'm not saying you should post 7 times a week, but that being said, it's really down to a bit of the consistency and obviously the quality of the content you've got going as well. And you can also obviously use the calendar here to actually put down sort of ideas and select when you're sort of looking for the post to go out, and such as well. So overall, this is what I sort of got in terms of Bright. And I'm just going to quickly pop back to this last video where I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what we covered so far. Okay, so this is everything that we covered so far in this masterclass, right? Because bearing in mind, I genuinely find that when you are making the content, you want to make sure you are targeting those different stages of awareness. Because I find it is so, so valuable when you are able to help people be aware of the problem, actually, then target those people that are aware of a problem and connect with them on that emotional level, and then be able to almost use social proof and comparisons as a way to push those people that are solution aware as well. And bearing in mind, you can get leads from all these different types of awareness, because if you help them get one step closer to where they want to be, why wouldn't they look towards to you for more of that advice, for more of those solutions? So that's the important thing as well. And obviously as well, I want to make sure that you are making content creation as streamlined as possible. You don't want to make it complicated. You don't want to be testing out loads of different formats. And in terms of content formats, I really wouldn't stress it. Some people are like, oh, yeah, you should do carousel, you should do video, and so on and so forth. For me, I say play to your strengths. Some of my clients really struggled with writing, but they were great at video. And I just said, hey, do video, right? And some it was the opposite. So I just said, do that. For me, I enjoy doing video. Why? Because I just enjoy it, right? I enjoy doing video. I like the human to human connection, and that's as simple as I have it. So I really wouldn't worry about the formats, because a lot of it is simply down to the quality of it and making sure that what you're doing is also including these four areas down here as well, where you can really focus on that why, that what, but more importantly, the how and the now as well. And that is going to be more specific, obviously, to the problem aware and the solution aware. But having all of those actionable steps in the content is really, really going to help. So hopefully you found this really useful. If you have any questions on this and be able to use Bright, and even just using this content awareness system, then do let me know and give me some feedback. Another last note as well, I also help entrepreneurs like you book 5 calls a month with LinkedIn and through systems that are streamlined to help you spend less time on LinkedIn getting more. If you're someone that sounds like that would be of interest to you, then make sure to click the button probably further below this video to learn more about how I can help you. If you're someone that is also struggling for time and content, I offer ghostwriting as well. But make sure you just click the button further down below if any of that sounds interesting to you. But that being said, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you soon.